Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my video. I want to start out by giving a big shout out to Danny and Sheena over at Cajun Hydroponics. Thank you so much for my brand new t-shirt. These long sleeves are perfect for today as it's a pretty cool day. So, como se va? Hope y'all are doing good. Thanks again for my wonderful shirt. One of the most common questions I get is how you keep varmints from ruining your garden. We have a lot of wildlife where we live. We've seen just about everything: deer, rabbits, possums, skunks, groundhogs, coyotes. I even saw a bobcat on the way to church the other morning. But the main animals from which I need to protect my garden are from, believe it or not, the chickens in our chicken coop. We keep them in the chicken coop most of the time, but we do like to let them out to a free range around a little bit, stretch their legs and eat some of the bugs and different things in the yard. But they love to eat cabbage and broccoli and kale, and we don't like them getting in our garden, scratching around, messing everything up. So we put fences around all of our raised beds, just mainly to keep the chickens out, but also to keep all of the other wildlife out as well. And the most effective protection that I have found from all of these threats is just simply fencing. In fact, I haven't lost any of my garden produce to animals since I started using fencing. And so in this video, I'm going to show you the easy solution that I use. Maybe this method will work for you. Now, I'm primarily growing in raised beds like this, and this fencing method works really well, and it doesn't cost much. I like to reuse and recycle as much as I can, as you know if you watch my channel. So I use these old fence pickets that came from when we renovated our front porch. Now, you don't have to use fence pickets like this for your post. You can look around and see what you might have available. Almost anything would work. Could be some scrap 2x4s, some pallet wood, could be even a few sturdy sticks that you might have from trees or some woods or from something that you get from your neighbor. I simply like to screw these pickets directly into my raised beds about every 4 feet or so. So this provides a sturdy frame for my fencing to keep it all in place. If you screw the post into your raised bed, as you can see right down here, if you screw them directly in, it'll be a nice sturdy support. But maybe you don't have a wooden bed like I do, and that's okay. I have another bed over there in the distance that I'm gonna be wrapping in some new fencing, and you can just drive the post directly into the ground because these fence posts or these little pickets have an angled point on the end. It means that they drive into the ground really easy. But if you were using sticks, you could just sort of shave a point onto one end of it and then drive it into the ground, and that would work just really well. Now, the next thing you do after you put the fence posts on it, you want to wrap it in some kind of fencing material around the post. Again, I like to recycle, and so when I first did this, I started out using some chicken wire. So maybe on this bed you can see this is chicken wire that I used, and it works pretty good. I mean, it works really good, except that the main problem with the chicken wire is it's just hard to manage. It's hard to handle. It gets crinkled up, and if you want to take it off, it's hard to get, and the edges of it can be really sharp and they can poke you. And so what I started doing was replacing this fencing, this old chicken wire fencing. Even though I like to recycle and I started out with all of that, I found some really cheap plastic fencing that I like to use. So I got this stuff from Lowe's, and this garden fencing, it works really well for me. It's 2 feet tall by 25 inches long, and a roll like this doesn't cost much, maybe 12, 15 bucks. And so you can get a pretty good bit of it for cheap. I also like it because it's not too tall. I really don't like to put really tall fencing on it because I want to be able to reach inside my bed. And so with this, it's short enough that I can still reach inside the fencing, and get into my bed and pull weeds, make a harvest, or whatever I want to do. So that works really good for me. Now, another thing you want to do, at least what I do, I don't permanently attach this fencing because I want to be able to take it off. You know, for instance, these old these old black-eyed pea vines, they're all dried up and crusted up, and I'll need to pull these out of here at some point. And so what I would want to do is just be able to take this fencing off really easy and get full access to the bed. And that way I can get in there to pull stuff out, or if I want to really get in there and work the soil really nice and good, I can get in there and do that still. But in order to do it, I need to have full access. And so what I do is put a nail in it or a screw, and then I just simply hook that fencing on that screw, and then I can just take it off simply like that. I can take it off, and then all of a sudden I have full access to that bed. See, I can just take that out, and now I can get in there and I can do whatever I need to do. So that's the way I like to do my fencing. Now, thankfully, you see all these woods around. I have woods all around my house. And so there are deer all over the place out here in the country where we live. But thankfully, for whatever reason, deer don't come up into my yard. I don't know if it's because I have dogs, but they're inside dogs. I mean, they do bark and they make a ruckus, but I don't know that would really keep deer from coming up in my yard. But I don't know why, for whatever reason, deer don't come into my yard. They're out in the woods. We see them all over when we're driving around just within half a mile of our house, but they don't come up into our yard and get into our garden. And that's a good thing, because if they did, this fencing would definitely not keep the deer out. I was driving on the road just the other day, I think it was yesterday, and I saw a big buck cross the road, went up to one of the farms here in my community, and he jumped over the fence, and it was probably a 5-foot fence, and he jumped over that thing like it was nothing. Deer could jump over a 6-foot fence. So if you were gonna build a fence to keep deer out, you'd have to build it at least like 7 or 8 feet tall to really keep the deer out. And I just don't want to have that kind of, first of all, I don't want to spend that much money. I don't want to put in the labor to enclose my whole garden with that kind of thing. And so I'm just going to stick with what's been working for me. Now, another thing with this plastic fencing, we have rabbits in our yard. We probably have more rabbits than I've ever seen anywhere I've ever lived in my life. We have a lot of rabbits that come up in our yard, but for whatever reason, you know, they don't get through this fencing. It may be because we're growing in raised beds, so the bed itself is already, you know, maybe 8 to 12 inches above ground, and then on top of that, then we have this plastic fencing, so the rabbits don't get in our beds. Now, I have talked to some people on Facebook, and you know, I recommended this kind of fencing to them to keep their rabbits out, and they said, well, that they had tried that and rabbits simply chew through it and get into their, you know, they must have some really hungry rabbits maybe that are doing that, that if they're determined to get through this fencing into your garden, they probably will. If you're really dealing with really hungry rabbits that are going to chew through your fencing, you might want to use chicken wire or field fencing, some kind of metal fencing with really tight weaves to keep the rabbits out. They won't chew through metal, I don't think, and I don't think rabbits can climb, so 2 feet would be plenty to keep them out. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate you taking the time to check out my video today, and again, big shout out and thanks to Danny and Sheena and Colt over at Cajun Hydroponics. Appreciate so much winning this shirt on your contest on your channel a few weeks ago, and y'all go check out their channel. They do a great thing. I just really love the way they spread love around the YouTube community, and you know, that's what it's all about. You know, somebody asked Jesus one time, said, hey, what is the greatest commandment? Of all the commandments that God has given, what is the greatest one? And he didn't even hesitate. He said, the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And the second is equally important, love your neighbor as yourself. And I appreciate the way that Cajun Hydroponics and those folks over there love people. And I hope that you will take a word from Jesus, take that lesson to heart, and let's all spread as much love as we can. You know, people say, well, I love God, I love Jesus, but you know what? In one of the letters of John, it says, if you can't love people who you do see, how can you say you love God who you don't see? We got to love each other, and we got to love God too. So anyway, thanks for watching. Now let's get out there and grow and be fruitful.
Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to become a thumb bud.